Well, hi, everybody. This is DearMamaSal, and we are live on a Sunday afternoon, which means it's time for us to be talking about coping with stress. And I've got the stress of a hair. I'll manage. I hope you all had a wonderful weekend and that you are well and happy and looking forward to the coming week. But the chances are that you will have had a week that had some stress in it. This week, this weekend, all my broadcasts, I've been concentrating on learning not to beat up on ourselves. Because to me, one of the most important things we can do for our mental health and for our ultimate happiness is to remember that we are not perfect. That's why we're still here. And I saw this really nice quote, and it said, "Give yourself a break. Stop beating up on yourself. Everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has setbacks and failures. And you don't come with a book on how to get it right all the time. You will fail sometimes, not because you plan to, but simply because you're human. Failure is part of creating a great life." And, if you can see that and understand it, then you are ahead of the game. In today's broadcast, we're going to have some more of those sort of quotes. We're also going to have some viewer updates and some interesting ones. I've got some tips on saving money and the usual group of things that I talk about. For those of you who might have missed it, there was an incredible story that came out about a woman on Reddit that saw somebody ask for a dream come true. And the funny thing was that it was within her capability to grant that wish. And the most amazing thing is that it started a whirlpool of action, and somebody else put up a wish and somebody else granted it. And this thing has gone absolutely bonkers with people putting in their wishes and other people granting them. And so if ever you wonder, is there any good left in the world? I think that you need to remember these sort of stories. Jeannie, I gather from your comment that you are now back in the house. Congratulations, and we'll be doing a little bit more on the updates in a second. So to me, one of the things that we forget is all the good things. We have a news system that brings us a lot of bad things, but very little by comparison of good things. For those of you who don't know, DearMamaSal is a group of people who get together. It's not just me. We get together 3 times a week, and we talk about, on Friday lunchtimes, the Pacific time, we talk about coping with feelings because we all have them, and it's perfectly okay to have them. As long as we remember, if we're feeling, then it's on us. Nobody else makes us feel anything. It's how we interpret it. On Friday evening, we talk about coping with life because we all live it. And I got some feedback on that one. And then on Sunday afternoons, we talk about coping with stress. So there we go. Oh, wonderful. Jeannie's saying that she's going to be moving a lot in tomorrow. Great. Okay, so we'll get to that part of it. I thought I would start by giving a really big round of applause to Jody. This time tomorrow, she hopefully will be telling me that she's out of the operation and that she doesn't want to laugh. For those of you who don't know, admin Jody, she's our admin, is going in for a gastric bypass surgery tomorrow. And so she's going to go in with a big stomach. And she's going to come out with, how big is it going to be when they've finished, Jody? I know it's incredibly small, but one thing I didn't ask is, do they take the old stomach away? I never did ask that question. I would imagine they probably do. I don't know. It's a learning moment for me. But if you can imagine that, and so what I found fascinating, and I'm just wanted you to get an idea of this. Jody was telling me that she will be in hospital for 3 days. She'll be in recovery for 3 months until everything's fully healed. She'll be able to drink caffeine again. But she's saying the 3-day hospital stays. Day 1 is the surgery. Day 2 is making sure that she can tolerate 1-ounce sips of water. Can you imagine that? And maybe if she tolerates the 1-ounce sips of water, they might give her some broth or maybe even some Jello. And then they'll also be working on her pain management, and then and making sure that she can get rid of whatever she consumes. That's also important. But day 3, she will meet with her social worker and be getting ready to go home in the afternoon. So by the next broadcast, she hopefully will be home, and we will be able to talk a lot more about this. All right, let's see here. Oh, her new stomach. All right. What size do you reckon is at the moment? I think mine is the size of a globe. I've decided, I I could do a good imitation of being pregnant, right? But why did I do that? All right, so you're going to go from a stomach, I presume, a bit like mine, and then by the time you've finished, you're going to have a stomach the size of a cherry tomato. Wait a minute. Okay, I got one of those. Okay, so this is the size that she's at now, the stomach's at now, and that's the size it's going to be when she's finished. That'll leave a lot of room, Jody. That's so good. Put those away ago. So I wanted to ask you, so it's not removed, it's just rerouted for this specific surgery. With the gastric sleeve, it is, no, that doesn't make sense. Anyway, doesn't matter, whichever it is. So does it just atrophy, or what happens to it? That would have made more sense to me the other way around, that with a gastric sleeve, it's still there but contained. Anyway, we'll know a lot more by the time she's finished, that's for sure. And so, Jody, any new feelings of stress or any new feelings of anything that are coming up for you now that you're in the last few hours before the operation? I'm very aware that I probably don't want to talk to you for the first 48 hours. I will, of course, but I will need to be really careful because my ability to be funny, and I'm going, you're not going to want to laugh too much. I know it's good for you to laugh, but you're not going to love me that much if I do make you laugh. So let us know if there's anything. Thank you. No new fears. Okay, that's so you're under control then, as far as you can be. Jody's saying the stomach remains in but is rerouted with the sleeve. Yes. Okay. The stomach is a banana shape, and the extra is removed. Okay, that's with the gastric sleeve. Interesting. Okay, so we wish you obviously all the best, Jody. What can I say? I can imagine how terrifying that will be in some ways, but I also know that you're going to be, and have that sense of humor about it, which is, okay, on the way in, I'm going to be this weight. By the time I leave, I'm going to be a lot less. And, I know that's not going to be instant, but you're on a very serious path. And, more than anything, Jody, it is my wish, and I'm certain of everybody that knows you, that you get through this in as easy a way as possible, and also that it brings you the health that you so richly deserve. I am absolutely looking forward to you writing to me and saying, Sal, I walked outside with Lionel and the fluff ball today. That's the text message I'm waiting to get from you. And I don't care how long that takes, Jody. I don't care if that takes you a year to send that. And I'm pretty certain, knowing you, it won't. But you understand that when I get that you have been able to get up and out and go and do something normal for the first time, probably since you were diagnosed as cancer, to me, that's going to be I will cry. I know that. Well, I'm crying now, so yeah, duh. Oh, isn't that interesting? Jody's saying, believe it or not, it's common to leave hospital weighing more, not less, because of all the extra fluids that they put in. Ah, interesting. Well, not for long. That's the way I look at it. Not for long. I'm not aware of any birthdays this week. So if any of you have one, either here on the live feed or on the replay, if you're listening to this or watching it on the replay, please let us know, because it means our database is not up to date. And we do know that Jeannie's doing well. She's here. So if you've got any questions of Jeannie, ask them now. And then also to let you know that she's going to be back in her house, getting stuff in the house tomorrow. I am so happy to hear that second inspection went so well for you. I really am. We also heard from Amber this week, and she seems to be doing a lot better, which is great. And so all in all, I also spoke with Erin this week, and she had a difficult week, but she seems to be okay. And life is good. Yeah, Jeannie, even though you are now, that far away from your op and you're not getting any pain anymore, I would ask you also to be very careful of Jeannie, if you wouldn't mind. All right. I know that you are a go-doer, and I know that you have that personality. And I would ask you to think about pacing yourself. 1 hour is okay. Then sit down for half an hour. Do another hour. Sit down for half an hour. I wonder if you would consider doing that. Or maybe 1 hour up, 1 hour down. So, because, we think we can do more than we actually can. And I would like you to be careful, if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so let's see. I want to talk for a second about something that I saw this week. In terms of saving money, and we all like to do that, I needed to buy, I just want to get this screenshot up so that I can see it properly. I needed to buy some rubbing alcohol. And I'm a great believer in whatever I buy, if it's possible to buy it in a big size now, I'm doing that, because, the cost of everything is going up with inflation. So here was the interesting thing. If I wanted to buy 99.999% rubbing alcohol, it would cost me $10.50 Canadian for a liter. Jody, if you can, don't make a big deal of it. If it's difficult, don't worry about it. I just wonder what it costs in the States. But basically, it costs $10.50 in Canada. That's where I am. I sort of hunted around a bit and decided to look for what is the next size up that I can buy that I think I would use in the next year or so. And the interesting thing was that the next size up was 4 liters. In other words, that is a gallon. No? Yeah, I think that's a gallon in American. And a gallon would cost $28.95. Call it $29. So getting 4 times as much, but only twice as much money. How about that? Quite a saving. Hi there, Chris. Good to see you. All right, so Jeannie's saying that tomorrow while they're doing moving stuff, a friend's going to look after her dog Misty for her. That's wonderful. You've put down the big rugs, the love seat, and the futon. Oh, isn't that wonderful? I'm so pleased to hear it. Anyway, so think about that, people. When you buy now, please buy when you can. Buy bigger than you need. Why? You'll be grateful for it. You know, as long as it's not something that will go off. I saw this quote and loved it. It says, oops. It said, flawsome. Flawsome, Flawesome. Flawsome when you embrace your flaws and still know you're awesome. Isn't that wonderful? Okay, Jody is saying that in the States, about 32 ounces of rubbing alcohol is about $4. Okay, and what would you pay for 4 liters? I wonder if you can check that, see if it's possible to buy it in a 4-liter size. Because, you know, it's just like, isn't that amazing, the difference? I can get 4 times as much for only twice the price. So, no-brainer for me. Now, do I use a lot of it? Not necessarily, but, it's one of those things that, it's not going to go off. It's a bit like vinegar or stuff like that. It's not going to go off. It's not going to get bad. And therefore, it's worth buying the bigger version. Under the category of be prepared, not scared, I'm going to start that with yet another quote where it says, stop hating yourself for what you aren't and start loving yourself for everything that you are. I think all too often we forget how unique we really are. And yes, how many of you fall into the same trap, right? You compare yourself with other people and you forget that they might be good at doing this, this, and this, but they're not nearly as good as doing some of the things that you do. All right? And so why compare yourself to those people? Thank you, Jeannie. Jeannie's saying 4 liters cost about $40. It's 39. Huh, interesting. So, it's like, and a gallon is $15. All right. So you look at it and you go, okay, 4 gallons is what I got for a little bit more than that. So I'm happy. Worth looking at. The first thing I wanted to, a 4-liter bottle is $15. That's amazing prices. Amazing how your prices are so much better than ours. I wanted to give you a be prepared, not scared heads up. And it has to do with postage. And the reason that I want to give you the heads up is because, to my horror, I found out that postage is taking way longer than we are used to. And to give you an example, I sent a card to my sister for her 80th before the end of June. I think about June the 26th, I sent a card to her. Now, she lives 4 hours away from me across the border, so I can't cross the border. So, I wasn't able to see her. But, she lives just 4 hours away, and that card still has not got there. Can you believe that? And so what I was going to suggest that some of you may want to consider getting a heads up on what the real time is these days about getting things delivered. This is before the Christmas rush starts. Imagine what's going to happen once the Christmas rush starts. Now you're going, Christmas, Sal? Yes. Be prepared that you're going to need to be ahead of the game for Christmas this year, or a lot of people are going to be disappointed. And that is what I want you to be prepared for. Be aware that this is what's happening. And, we can do it. We just have to do it with a different timetable from the one we're used to. So, talking about stress, I got a number of things. As some of you may know, that I ended up having a batch of tests done this week medically. And I was really aware that I was quite fearful about what the results may be. And the good news is that as far as I know, there are a couple of things that are a bit wonky, but nothing too serious. I'll be able to confirm that next week when I've spoken to the doctor. But one of the things I knew that I needed was to be on some diuretics, because I normally have some problem with my feet swelling. But with that incredible heat that came in, my feet are now really swollen. And so here's the stress of that one. My doctor totally agreed and gave me some diuretics to take. But the problem is, I can't take them. I'm going to start taking them tomorrow. And the reason is because since I got them, which was Tuesday or Wednesday, every day I had something going on, which made it almost impossible for me to take a diuretic, because if you take them, you're going to spend a lot of time in the washroom. And so it's like, I can't take one today because, I've got this happening. And then the next day, I can't take one today because that's happening. And you can't take it after lunch or too much after lunch because, then you'll be up all night with it. And it's so... how many of you can see the humor in that? Which is just like, okay, I got to start taking them soon, like tomorrow, because I don't think I have to go anywhere tomorrow. And the other thing is, I am probably just going to take half a one, just until I get used to taking them again. I don't want to, overstress my body either. But the good news is the half one I did take a half one just after I got them, and it did help a bit. So I'm pretty certain taking half a one's going to help that much more. Maybe I'll take a full one. We'll see. All right, here's the next quote. Be nice to yourself. It's hard to be happy when somebody is mean to you all the time. And I wanted to get you to think about that. If somebody treated me the way you probably treat yourself, you'd probably be quite upset. Am I right? If you heard that somebody was beating up on me and putting me down and saying I was an idiot or stupid or whatever, do you think that you would be a little bit upset? I know at least one person would be. And so for me, what I want to remind you is, be your own best friend. If you catch yourself beating up on yourself, remember that it's, hey, number one, I see whenever I start beating up on myself, I try to find the inner reason for it. I know my inner critic is trying to help me at some level. And so I've got some fun examples of that in a second, but I want you to be aware that there's nearly always a good intent when your inner voice says, "Oh, that was stupid." I've learned to laugh and go, yep, that was, but that's how I learned to do things better. I know that I cannot get good unless I make mistakes and learn from them. Or I will do something and, it'll take me a long time. And I'll go, yeah, that took a long time. You're going, yep, but the second one hopefully will be a bit faster. Jamie's saying, my mother always said, you can be your best friend or your worst enemy. You decide. Yeah, absolutely. I love that. So here was my stress for this week. I don't know if any of you had any stress for this week, and if so, type away. But here's what happened. My friend Patty was coming over on Tuesday, and that was awesome. And I got everything out to ready so that I could feed her, and because we were having lunch here. And I did quite a bit, tidied up the house, did all sorts of things. And then literally 50 minutes before she was due to arrive, I got a text saying, sorry, I have to go to the accountant. And it was just like, really? That is amazing. That I got 50 minutes warning that she wasn't coming. So I took a deep breath and regrouped, and then said, how do I turn the lemon into lemonade? So what I did was I actually used the food that I had bought out to do some cooking for the Friday evening broadcast, which, by the way, I want to tell you, for those of you who watched that and saw me stuff those chicken breasts, well, that one chicken breast, you remember I cut it in two? I want to tell you, yesterday I had one half for lunch without anything else, just one half of that chicken breast, and I had the other half for dinner. And other than having some cheese and crackers quite a bit later on, that is all that I had all day. And that is how satisfying that was. So I hope that you enjoyed the demonstration, and to show you really how simple it was to do. And by the way, even though I say it myself, I'm so glad I put in all the different textures and tastes. You remember I put in one bit of ham with cheese inside, and I put in mandarin oranges. And, it was interesting because I just cut it into little sections. So each bite had a different taste to it. And I had it cold both times, and it was wonderful. So very nice thing to do if you've got company. Now then, I said you got to trust the timing of things. Well, the good news was that Patty couldn't make it, but I knew that Yvonne was coming yesterday. So that was really exciting for me. So yesterday, same thing. I've got the chicken, which I'm going to feed her, and I've got, I got the house tidied and everything ready, and literally 15 minutes. She already texts me to say I'm on my way, and I know she's just 16 minutes away. And the next thing was I got another text saying the car broke down. And it was just like, really? 2 friends in 1 week. And so what I did was I trust the timing. And what I realized, and I did this on Tuesday as well, on Tuesday I realized I'd set aside at least 4 hours to be with my friend. Suddenly life had given me 4 extra hours that I wasn't expecting. So instead of being all stressed out about, oh gosh, why isn't she here, and da-da-da-da, I went, what am I going to do with 4 hours that I didn't expect? Right? And I had such fun. And then yesterday I went, okay, there's another 4 hours that I wasn't expecting. And I made the best of it. By the way, Jody, thank you for the kind comment. It's actually a dress rather than a top. A long one. But it's cool. And you will see that I am back in the kitchen today, where it actually is 90. It's only 90 degrees. It's quite cool. So, but you understand, take the negative and turn it into a positive. So what I did is that I decided, what can I do with this time? And yes, it is a peacock design. Yeah, that's true. There's a peacock feather and color. What I wanted to do was do a test of a Christmas card. How many of you are rolling your eyes going, Sal, really? Well, I don't know about you, but I keep asking myself what stresses me out about Christmas, and it's because I'm never ready. I'm getting better, but I'm never ready. And one of the things I'm really bad about is getting Christmas cards out. And so I wanted to make a new Christmas card this year. I made special ones last year, and I enjoyed making them, and I knew they were made with a lot of love. And so this year I wanted to try another one. This goes under the wonderful quote, and it's not exactly what Jody told me, but this is the idea. Why go and buy a box of cards, for $10, Christmas cards? Why go and buy a box of cards for $10 when you can hand make your own for $100? And Jody, I loved that whole concept because it is so true. And and that's not counting the time, right? But I don't know about you guys. When you get a handmade card, do you go, oh, they couldn't be bothered to buy one? Or do you see the time and effort they put in? I think that's what I would ask. So, Jeannie is saying until the fire that she had in her house, Christmas cards were always ready right after Thanksgiving. I believe that that's what I'm aiming for. I would like to have all my cards ready by Thanksgiving. Now, you're going, Sal, that's months away. Do you want to see the card and know how long it took? Because you're all just going to roll your eyes, but I love to learn. I'm a lifelong learner, right? And part of my de-stressing is to use my creative side. Jody, you can say yes, please. Such an idiot. All right, so here we go. This is the front of the card. And you can probably see that it has a sort of 3D look to it. And then when you open it up, if I can do this upside down. Oops. Okay. When you open it up, it looks like this. You see it? Now, that looks pretty simple, doesn't it? You have no idea how much paper it takes. No idea how much paper it takes. Plus, it requires all sorts of different skills that I didn't necessarily have. For example, the little thing I've got inside here requires that I cut it, but before I take it out, I then change the cutter to a pen and then have it right on there. Make sense? And then, and to remember that you've got to change the equipment before you take it out. It's quite challenging, but how do you think I felt during the time I was making it? Do you think it was a little stressful? All right. Do you think it's a little stressful learning how to make something that complicated? By the way, this is made up with two completely different things. I actually counted, I think it's 14 different bits that go into that. 14. JD's saying, gorgeous, I'd be thrilled to receive such a card. Well, don't hold your breath. But you understand that as stressful as it was to learn how to do it, when it was finished, I smiled. Right? When it was finished, I looked at it and I went, that actually works. And I'm happy with it. So what I wanted to say to you is remember that any learning that you do is stressful. All right? Any learning that you do is stressful. Oh, by the way, now I've got to buy the envelopes or make the envelopes, because I've learned how to do that as well, to make or buy the envelopes to go here. I actually think I worked it out. It's cheaper to buy them than it is to make them. Jody's saying, I would have had 2 shots of bourbon and a margarita if I accomplished that card. Well, I wanted to show you. Now, this took, I'm not joking, I would say probably 6 to 8 hours to learn how to do it. Isn't that ridiculous? Who wastes 6 to 8 hours of their life making one card? But I am already in the cutting stage of number 3. You know what I mean? Because now I know what I'm doing. Now I go, okay, fine. How many of these do I need to do 6 cards or 8 cards or whatever? And now I'm mass producing the bits. So then I will spend, once I got it all cut out, once it's all cut out, then I can spend an evening or 2 putting it all together. Okay, Ginny's saying, what kind of method release stress? Are you asking me what do I do to relieve stress? Funny enough, for me, and this is only my way, I find that doing something either with nature or creative reduces my stress. Even though this was stressful to do, do you understand that the joy, the reward at the end of it was made up for all the stress of doing it? And by the way, I had a few oopses in between, because, that's what we're talking about, right? Is, you're not going to do it perfectly the first time. And so one of the oopses I had was that for those of you who are craft people and understand about cutting machines, you get what they call a sticky mat that you put your what do you call it? Cardstock on, and it holds it. It's sticky. And I have learned, if any of you have got those machines or anything with a mat like that, I've learned how to re-sticky them so I don't have to buy new ones. Now, you're probably not surprised to hear that because it's me. And all you do is you just take painter's tape and put painter's tape around the edge. And then you buy a can of, hang on a second, let me find what it's called. I want to make sure I say the right repositioning stuff, right? And you just spray that on all over my floor. Anyway, you just spray that on. So one of the mats was getting a little less sticky, and I thought, oh, well, now let me just, tape it off. And while I'm doing one, I might as well do another. So I taped 2 of them, and I'm spraying away. I'm spraying away quite happily. And then I look down and I go, why is the writing wrong? And then I went, I am busy making the back of it sticky, not the front. Oops. So, again, I just went, learning moment, and aren't I happy that I have silicone? And by the way, if ever you do that, I literally have some silicone in the house, like WD-40 type stuff. And I just sprayed it all over the glue, because that stuff removes glue. If you've got a sticky label on something, WD-40 on it will help remove it. So anyway, I sprayed the whole lot, and I took a cloth and soap and everything else, and no time at all, it was all gone. Can I be making something? You want to see how I make this? That would be a long video. But do you understand that to me is all part of it? So part of my stress relief may be to put myself under stress, but in a different way. And then knowing that the chances are I'm going to have an achievement at the end of it. So, and did I learn a lot making that first one? Yeah, Jody, then I was thinking about how many Christmas cards do I actually have in my house? I haven't finished unpacking, but I'm pretty certain I've probably got 100. So where is the intelligence in that? But what I want you to all understand is one person's stress is another person's stress relief. So to me, when I finished this, I went, that was worth every moment to get that result. So, how many of you understand what I'm talking about here? Yeah, the finished product brought me joy, great joy. And I'm hoping that as I continue, that the finished product will bring other people joy as well. Now, here's the funny thing. What am I going to do if one of my neighbors happens to see something like this and go, oh, can I buy some? Can you imagine what the value of this one card is? What do you think my time is worth per hour? What's minimum wage where you are? And I don't think I'm worth minimum wage, but it's like, seriously, if you think about it, if minimum wage is, well, in Canada, I think it's closer to 15 now. 15 times 8 hours. Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to pay that for a card. Now there's something else. That card is worth $250 exactly. But the next one will be worth less, Jody. You understand that, right? It's not quite as valuable because it'll take me less time. But here's something else that I did. I also learned how to make myself a little box. All right? And this little box I wanted because when my friends come at the moment, I'm giving them chives to take home. But I had already prepared by getting the container and the little thing that goes underneath it. But what I wanted was to have a little presentation box that I could give it to. And I'm buying the punch so that I can, because I can't find my punch, but so I can punch holes and make a little handle in future. But and do you see I've got these little gold stones that go on top? So again, simple to do. No, that's not true. Not simple to do. The value of that probably is astronomical. Yes, and that's what I want to do is just have things ready. So if anybody comes, that I can give them a little something. And making the boxes was something I always wanted to do. Now, the other thing is I invested in some new blades because somewhere I read that my machine actually will cut board stock and even possibly cardboard. Not big pieces, but I want to, obviously do some experiments on that. So again, not easy to learn, but what I was happy with is that I actually had the design, it was a much smaller box. And I said, I need a bigger one. Well, guess what? The bigger one wouldn't fit on the sheet of paper that I got. So I not only learned how to make it much bigger, but I also learned how to manipulate the design so I could cut it out of 2 different pieces. So all learning. And that's the way I look at it. It's all a learning process, and I love to learn. So to me, anything creative has always helped me de-stress. Now then, I also this week, actually today, had a call. Actually, yesterday, no, I lie. Today I had two calls, one from Benji and one from Doug. And they both told me some interesting things on different subjects. You know, we're inclined to talk, as I think some of you know, when I talk to Benji or when I talk to Doug, we have pretty intense conversations, and I love it. And Benji and I were talking about the environment to a large extent. We were talking gardens, of course, but also the environment. And, you know, one thing he said that I thought I would just pass on to you all, which is whatever you do these days, think about the fact that water is going to become a really expensive commodity, if you can get it. You know, if the heat waves continue as they're doing now, yes, I am talking about Benji. Yeah. He's my adopted son. He adopted me. So, you know, and we were talking about that and how, you know, he was saying that he's collecting rainwater. And I said, actually, I have a rain barrel here. And, you know, I may consider getting a second one because it is very useful. For example, we haven't had rain for over 2 weeks. And luckily, I've got plenty of water, but I always know that if something happened, I've got, you know, a full rain barrel of water. Actually, it's about 3/4 full now. And so think about that. And the other thing is this, that places, you know, where I'm lucky, I live in the Pacific Northwest. Well, I live in southern British Columbia, which is part of the Pacific Northwest, if you like, where we have a lot of water. But, you know, a lot of our water is going to end up, you know, having to go down to places like California if it gets, you know, if they carry on with the droughts that they're having. We already send a lot down. So the whole world is going to be depleted of water, you know, very quickly if we're not careful. So then I talked to Doug. And for those of you who know Dougie, and Dougie and I, as you know, always talk a lot of politics, and that was fine. But he was also telling me something that has happened because of the pandemic. I think some of you may know that Doug is involved in event planning. He does, you know, a lot of planning for big things like marathons and stuff like that. And one of the things that he said to me that blew me away was that things have gone from 0 to 60 in a heartbeat here in Canada. You know, we have got our numbers down so far that all the big events that weren't allowed, suddenly they're saying, well, last week we told you you could have events of, you know, 5,000 people. Today we're telling you can have 50,000. Now, can you imagine where that's in a week they've jumped that much? And so it is quite frightening to think that that is the speed at which things will start moving now. And he was saying that, you know, really they may, even though the government said they can do it, they may not do it because they think it's too fast, too soon, and that they want to just, you know, quietly work their way up to the bigger numbers again. But, you know, isn't that amazing that from 1 week it was like 5,000 and the next week they said, okay, you can have 50% of full capacity now, whatever the full capacity was. And so the strain that puts on the infrastructure, the strain that puts on all the suppliers, you know, because no supplier is geared up to go back to that level of supply. So I believe that's going to be a lot of stress for a lot of people. And if it's happening to us here in Canada, I'm pretty sure it's going to be happening, if it isn't already, you know, down in the States or anywhere else you might live, because this will affect the whole world. Interesting. Jeannie's saying, at the moment, we have no water at our house. She's just going into a rebuilt house. So insurance will pay for bottled water until it returns. That's awesome. And I always say, talking to Benji about this, Jeannie, I live on a well. The water I get is straight out of a well, so it is incredibly cold. But the other thing is that the pumping station that we have here, if we have a power outage, I also lose water. Now, I don't just lose power, I lose water. So it's really important in the winter, when the inclement weather is coming, that I keep ahead of the game or know when the big winds are coming, because when the big winds are coming, I need to fill up my bathtub and my fridge and my water bottles and things, because that's the way. Yeah, so just be aware that things are going to start moving pretty quickly now. So that's an interesting comment, Judy. You're saying that you're also on a well, but it hasn't been used in a year. Yes, and I seem to remember that just before you had the fire, it also had given you some problems. You had to have it redone. So hopefully, will you have somebody come in to check it and test it? And how often do you test its what can I say? Its cleanliness? I think we have to have our well checked, the well water checked every month, or maybe every week, I think. It has to go to the local municipality to show that we have, that the water is still good. I'm pretty certain if yours is a private well, that's not necessary, but I'm pretty certain you were testing it on a regular basis. So, and they have been testing it several times. Awesome. And is it coming up okay? It should be. It hasn't had to work very hard, has it? I would think. The plumber's coming in a day or so. Yes, I would think you're probably going to need to rinse the line out in some way. But after that, you should be fine. I don't know how you sanitize the line, but you probably do. All right, so how about this for a quote? You don't need to beat up on yourself in order to make God love you. Jesus already took your beating. And, I like to add in, a religious quote every now and then, because I know a lot of my viewers actually do have faith. And I thought that was a beautiful quote. You don't need to beat up on yourself in order to make God love you. Jesus already took that beating for you. And I just thought, that's so true, isn't it? For those of you of faith. So my question is, did you do anything towards Christmas this week? Because I'm going to keep asking you that question every week. Did you do anything towards Christmas? You know what I did? I actually went and got postage stamps ready for Christmas. Why? I never have them. I always have to go to the post office to mail my cards, and I'm going, it will be less stressful if I could just stick some stamps on and mail them. So that's what I'm doing this year. I also, as I think you already know, I'm ordering little bits of Christmas presents all the time now. And, I'm going to start, and my next thing I'm going to do is to buy containers that I can put Christmas things in. I already have bought a present for Betty Ann and Brian. Quite excited about that. So that's done. I didn't worry about getting Christmas stamps, Jeannie. That wasn't my issue. All right. I wasn't interested in getting Christmas stamps. I was interested in, do I have stamps? Maybe later on I might go again. I happen to be in the post office again, and maybe the Christmas stamps will be in. But what I know is, even if I haven't got Christmas stamps, I will have stamps. That's more postage. It was my goal, not pretty postage. So again, think about ordering little bits. Now, the other thing I'm doing, and I think some of you know I do this, I keep suitable boxes that I can put things in and wrap things in. And then what I do, and I will have probably a week of it, I will literally paint boxes for a week. And I will probably paint them red or green, and then, put pretty bows on them. But that way I'm saving, I'm reusing, important, but also I'm not buying throwaway gift paper. And so to me, it's like, it is really incredible. You can buy a big bottle of paint at Walmart or something, red paint, and it'll last you probably 5 years doing that. So think about little things like that. And by the way, I use what I call junk paint for the first coat, because it doesn't really matter what that first coat is until I get it properly sealed, and then I put on the coat that I want it to be. So, and if you want free paint for that junk layer, just go to your local recycling place. They will give you, most recycling places will give you gray paint free. If you want to repaint your house and gray is a possibility, go get free paint from the recycling people, because I think I've said it before, when you put all the paint colors together, you will end up with gray. They're always fascinating, isn't it? So think about that. Think about, are you going to reuse boxes, or are you going to buy wrapping paper that will stay on the present for maybe a week or two and then just fill the landfill? Think about that. Do your bit. So, under the problem solver, did anybody have any problems this week that they need to discuss? And if you have a big problem that maybe is something that we can do for a particular broadcast to put focus on it, please remember that you can always write to me at DearMamaSal@gmail.com. And I will be more than happy, to write back to you as soon as I can, which may not be immediately. But also I will, if it's something that I think a lot of viewers also would like to hear about, then I may ask for permission to use it as an example. I said in a previous broadcast, I'm getting really fed up with myself for falling into the trap of watching stupid, time-wasting stuff on Facebook. And I know that it's designed to catch me, and boy, that it does. But I'm literally beating up on myself because I keep going, and you did it again. I am sort of 20 minutes into mindless watching, The House of the Rich and Famous or something, and I go, I did it again. However, I am catching myself more quickly now. There is progress. I'm still a work in progress at the moment. So I would say that it has been actually a pretty decent week for me. I really am beginning to feel, touch wood, I'm beginning to feel, more and more settled every week. And that's great. I'm also looking at stuff and saying, that is winter stuff, Sal. You don't have to do it now. Okay, let me see here. Kez is saying, I saw on TV that the UK is the first country to do this since it's vaccinated thousands and thousands of people. They're going back to nearly before COVID ways and getting too relaxed about things. Yeah, I want to tell you, that's why I said, that's the other thing I wanted to tell you about the call with Doug. Doug wanted me to go, I have never seen his house that he moved into while I was, just relocated because of my fire. So I've never seen his house. And he actually phoned to invite me over. And I said to him, Kez, have you had both vaccinations? Yes. But Jess hasn't. Jess has only had one, and she's about to have the second one. I said, okay, when she's had the second one and 2 weeks, I will consider it. But I could hear that he really wanted me to come over. And I said, look, here's the thing for me. I would never forgive myself if I came over and I was a carrier and I didn't know it. And I ended up giving you, not you, but giving Jess COVID. The other thing is they've got a child under 12 in the house. Think about that. And he can't be vaccinated. So it's all risky. So, what I did was I said, Doug, I need you to go talk to Jess for me. Tell her my concern is not for me, right? I now have both injections and vaccinations, and I think I'm pretty safe. My concern is for her and for her son. So this needs to be that she understands that's where my concern is, but it's her call. Because she's the one that's going to be affected, not me. Does that make sense? So I think, Kez, that a lot of people are going to shift in a hurry now. They're going to try and enjoy what's left of the summer before we go into maybe another wave in the winter. I think it'll happen. And, the other thing I was saying on Friday, Kez, is the interesting thing is that the people who are not vaccinated are the same people who don't like to wear masks. And this is in the States, right? If you look at the people in the States that are not vaccinated, they are predominantly the same people in the same states that don't believe in masks. So there's going to be a bigger problem. And so please be careful, everybody. For those of you who want to stay safe and keep your family safe, keep wearing that mask if you can. Yeah, Jody's saying, I'm preparing for another lockdown. It's going to happen. I believe so as well. So, Jody, let's remind everybody what sort of things, start buying a few extra paper products, paper towels, an extra pack of toilet paper if you can. Maybe, I always am a great believer, when the rush happened before, it took about 6 weeks for things to get back under normal thing. Yes, buy pharmaceuticals, very important. Get your meds that you need. So always make sure you've got 3 months worth, if possible, in store. So I look at it and go, I'm buying more meat in a can. When I say meat in a can, I don't eat it very often, but things like Spam or Chef Boyardee stuff, so that if meat becomes horrific, I can have some sort of meat. I'm buying more canned crab and shrimp and stuff like that. So remember, yes, Jody's going paper products in general, right? All right, so paper towels will be important as well. Water, yeah. If you've got room to store water, that's probably not a bad idea. Coffee. I think I've got enough coffee to last me through to about 2024, I think. But I knew coffee was really important to me. And so I've got, every time coffee goes on sale, I buy it. I don't care if I got plenty. I'm buying it now because I know how expensive it's going to become. Cleaning supplies. Yes, that's a good one. Or learn how to make your own. And that is, if you notice, every week I'm trying to teach you one more thing to learn how to make your own, so that, you can save money on those cleaning products and then gain them. Good. I'm glad that we all are on tune. So I thought it interesting that it's not for me to make the decision for Jess. It is Jess's decision whether I should go or not. And I said to Doug, Doug, you understand, we've waited this long. Another month is not going to make a whole lot of difference. God willing, right? Now then, here's something interesting that came up this week. And Jody, thank you for bringing this to my attention. Jody was saying that she was on a website this week, And somebody asked the question, listen up for this one, people. If you break a promise, did you tell a lie? If you break a promise, have you told a lie? And there was apparently a lot of discussion on it on the site where she was at. But, Jody being Jody asked me what I thought, and I said, absolutely. It's a no-brainer to me. If I said I was going to be there on Thursday and I'm not there, I told a lie. Which is why I no longer promise things to people. If people say to me, promise me you're going to be there, I'll go, I won't promise you because life gets in the way. And I have no control over that. But I will give you my commitment that I will do everything I possibly can to be there. And something pretty disastrous would need to happen for me not to be there. Please understand, I choose not to give you a promise because in the past I have broken too many and it doesn't feel good. And I don't like that feeling. Therefore, I no longer promise people things. So in case any of you need that sort of wording, think about it. If you don't promise it, then you won't have lied. If you say, absolutely, I intend to be there. Oh, promise you'll be there. No, I won't promise because I don't control life. It's beyond my control to promise it. But I can tell you that I will do everything within my power to be there. Kez is saying, in New South Wales, they had a huge number of cases last week, and a lot of it was the result of unvaccinated people doing the wrong thing. And now there are tough restrictions and an extra week of lockdown. It's going to happen all over the world, kids. Totally understand. Now then, I have, who gave me this hack? Oh, Doug gave me a bit of news that I didn't know about. Have any of you, want a vaccine, but you're not on the list yet? Or you've had one vaccine and it could be quite a while until you get the second one. Doug told me that there is an incredible way to be able to get that vaccine. What is happening is a lot of the vaccines that they have, as you know, are time sensitive. In other words, if they've got 20 people coming today, then they take 20 units and take it out of the big deep freeze and put it into whatever, getting ready to give it to people. But what happens if 2 or 3 people don't turn up that day? They will end up the day with 2 or 3 vials that they cannot put back into storage. So what Doug did when he realized this was that he went to a major pharmacy, I'm thinking like Walgreens, I think in the States would be equivalent. And what he did is that he went in at the end of the day, about 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and he went to the pharmacy section where they are allowed to give the vaccine. And he said, do you happen to have any leftover vaccine today? And they said, yes, actually, we got 4. And he got his shot immediately, even though he would have had to wait some time later because he's that much younger now. And I thought that was a good thing to know for any of you who want to get a second shot, or even your first one, but faster. So it's not that you're taking it away from somebody else, because you're not. Do you understand that? You're not taking it away from somebody. What you're doing is stopping that vial going to be destroyed because it wasn't used. So I think that's a win-win in my book. So I certainly had never heard of that, and I thought it was quite clever. Now then, let me ask you, in terms of your new habits, how are you all doing? Yeah, I think and by the way, Jeannie, please feel free to share it with people you know. If they're saying, I've still got to wait another 2 weeks or, whatever, Share it so that more people know about that. I think anybody that wants to get vaccines should get it as fast as possible. I do believe we're going to get another wave or 2 or 3. And I think they're going to get progressively worse too, in terms of their danger. Now, we were saying in terms of new habits that we found out that the average household has about 30,000 things in it. And how are you doing about throwing things away? I'm actually quite proud of myself. I've actually now started a new box, which is this is electrical and it needs to be given away or taken away. So I've got now a new electrical box of things that I will, fill up. And I've decided it would be a good thing at least twice a year to take those boxes to the recycling. All right, so Jeannie's saying everybody that she knows has had both in Maine. There are over 59% have had both doses. That is incredible. And then you look at what Kimmy was saying. She's in one of those red states, and she less than 30% have had a vaccine at all. Yeah. So you understand that you are fortunate that you live in a state that believes in vaccines. Again, I would remind you in terms of decluttering, all right? Decide the type of person you want to be and prove it to yourself with small wins. Jody, that's being picky. What did I say, 30%? Jody's going, 31, I believe. Really, Jody? It's called artistic license. I like to round things up a bit where I can. Micro. Oh, you made me laugh. I love it. So anybody got any new habits that they're doing that's helping them? How's the vanity going, Jody? And I'm pretty certain when you come home from the hospital, that, you're not going to worry too much about the vanity for about 3 months, I would think. Well, no, maybe a month. Knowing you, Jody's going, me, micro? Well, perhaps. That is so great. I was talking to Benji, and just talking about Benji again, but I was talking to him about the fact that I'm really quite proud of myself that even though I had been walking close to 10,000 steps a day, I was still, I'm still averaging a good 8. And, and that's not even trying. I'm not, that's just around the house and doing stuff in the garden and so forth. So you understand that was a change, a small change that I made that now has become a habit. And Jody, your vanity looks great because you're spending time there. Remember what I said. I remember every day that the average housekeeper spends half an hour tidying up and cleaning up a hotel room. If I'm spending 10 seconds in there, why am I surprised that it doesn't look tidy? So now the new thing that I do, and some of you, I would recommend this, which is I do what I call a basic tidy up. And then each time I go to the washroom, I go, what one more thing needs to be tidied up? Does that make sense? I just keep adding to it until it's good, and then I relax. So, and the other trick, there's no doubt about it, the other trick I'm trying to work on, actually I am working on, I'm not trying. The other trick that I am working on is to learn the habit of going through the house first thing in the morning or last thing at night and just tidying everything up. Not deep cleaning, just tidying it. Place for everything in its place. Does it look tidy? And, that's not a habit I've ever been in. And so it's challenging for me, but I'm getting there. I noticed even my craft room, which still is, quite a mess, but boy, every day it gets a little bit better. I'm reading this book about habits, and it just keeps saying if you do 1% more every day, like if it's this clean today, make it 1% better tomorrow. I don't have to clean up the whole of my craft room. Can I just do 1% more, tidy it up? And it's amazing how quickly that is going. Jody's saying, every day I say to myself, does it look like I could be in Sal's hotel quality bathroom? If yes, I get on with my day. Thank you. And I do the same thing. I stand at the door and I go, does this look like a Four Seasons bathroom? And I go, no, I can see a little mark on the shower door. And I go, okay. And by the way, I don't know why, but dryer sheets are really good for cleaning watermarks off glass. And, literally, if I see one little spot or two that I missed, I will literally take a dry dryer sheet and just clean it up. And you're done. Hi, Beth. Good to see you. So think about that, all right? What 1% improvement can you make in your life? And that's to do with anything, whether it's your health, the decluttering, whatever. Just keep working 1% and you will get there. Now then, I wanted to talk a little bit. How many of you watched Richard Branson go up and live his dream today? Did any of you? Yeah, isn't it funny, Jody saying, see, you mentioned cleaning, and Beth appears. Yeah, it's the law of attraction. I know that. Did any of you watch that? And how did you feel about it? Because imagine how he must have felt. When you read Richard Branson's story, he did not really grow up knowing that he was going to be a billionaire or anything like that. And so to me, it's like, I was so glad. I know I'm biased, but I was so glad he did it first. Here's some reasons why I'm glad that he did it first. Number one, look who Richard Branson took with him. He didn't take the elite people from, around who were prepared to pay millions to be with him. No, he took his staff, the very people who made it possible for him to actually do that journey. And I thought about that a bit deeper, and I thought, that wasn't altogether stupid. Because if you were in charge of quality control on something to do with that plane, and you knew you personally were going to be flying on it, not just your boss, but you personally were going to be flying on it, do you think you'd be paying even more attention? I think so. I find it interesting as well that Richard Branson is going to be selling seats on his plane for, I think it's around $250,000. Jeff Bezos, when his goes up next week, he is charging millions for seats. What's the difference? All right. And I really have to say that I get a real sense that Richard Branson just wants to make it possible for everybody to be able to do it if they want to. And I get a feeling Jeff Bezos is in it for just how many millions he can make. And so I am certain my brother would say Jeff Bezos has the right idea, but there's that part of me that goes, how wonderful that Richard Branson knows he could charge millions and isn't going to do that. Now, listen, 250,000 is out of the scope of most of us. I understand that. But, even so, that is an incredible difference in price. Jody's saying ego is the difference. I would say greed. to some extent. Now, how many millions and billions has Richard Branson already spent getting there and living his personal dream? I don't know, but I can tell you by looking at his face when he was not only on the flight, but also when he landed, and you go, isn't that wonderful? You know, he had this dream. He was saying, if you missed it, he was saying that as a kid, he looked up at the stars and dreamt. And then he watched the moon landing and he dreamt some more. And now he's done it. He became an astronaut. I don't know why it makes me cry. So remember your dreams, people. Keep going 1% closer to them. I thought this was a good quote about beating up on yourself that some of you need to remember. When you beat up on yourself like that, you invite every abusive person from your past back into your life. Right? When you think how much you hate abuse, and yet we do it to ourselves. Isn't that interesting? Did you know that bubble wrap was originally designed as a wallpaper? I didn't. Apparently. That's interesting. Did you know that spaghetto, confetto, and graffito are all singular forms of spaghetti, confetti, and graffiti? You're going, who cares? And do you want to take a guess at how many possible numbers, 7-digit phone numbers, are possible within an area code? Do any of you know how many that is? Take a guess just for the heck of it. How many, if you take your area code, whatever it is, how many numbers are listed underneath that one area code? Do you think, let me think here, do you think it's like 1 million or 5 million or I don't know, 8 million or 10 million, or how about 25 million? What do you think? How many, or anything other than those numbers, of course, how many numbers do you think there are in an area code? I didn't know this, and I found that interesting. Jody's taking a stab at 15 million. Anybody else want to have a go? Thank you for participating, Jody. You always do. Here's the thing. Apparently 8 million in any one area code. I have to tell you that when I arrived in Canada, the area in which I live had an area code of 604. We now have a second one. So what do we know? There are already over 8 million people, well over, because we've had the second code for quite a long time. Oh, interesting. Jeannie's saying, I was thinking less than 1 million. Well done, Jeannie. Thank you for participating. Now, here's a good one. Maybe you know this. Did you know that maybe I'll ask it a different way. What happens to grapes if you put them in the microwave? See if anybody knows this. I didn't. And I have not done the experiment to check it either. That will surprise you, which probably is a clue. If you put grapes into a microwave, they catch fire. Yeah, well done, Beth. Do they become raisins? You know something, Jeannie? That's what I would have thought. Jody's saying they explode. Apparently they catch fire. So the sugar, there you go. Smart people. I don't know about you, but I love these little factoids. It's sort of half my fun is going, I spend my week looking at stuff and I go, oh, that's interesting. I wonder if the peeps know that. And so as we start looking at the coming week? Do any of you have any stress coming up? A bit like Jodie obviously has a little bit of stress. She's going in for a major operation. It's like just a tad stressful, but she's kept an incredible mentality about it all, and she sees the joyful end result of it all. I have asked Jodie to make sure that Lionel, lets me know what I can share with you and what I can't. All right, because I understand letting me know is one thing, but letting the world know is something else. So I will give you my commitment that as far as and you know that I will go back and double check it if I have any concern. But as I get information about Jodie, I will make sure to put it on Facebook and Twitter so that you guys will be updated as well, with Jodie's permission, that's okay to do that. But what I've asked is that Lionel has two different areas. One, this is okay to share with the viewers, and this is the one that is okay to share with Sal. So, and because it's really important that I keep those two separate. And I want to thank Lionel in advance for agreeing to do that, because, it's not that I care, but, I pretend to care. So, Jodie, Judy's saying, well, Judy, I think you're under quite a lot of stress at the moment, right? And I don't want to talk to that because we're just out of time here. But I mean, if it's something that we need to talk about, let me know. I will make extra time. When I say it's not something I want to talk about, it's about that deserves a pretty intense conversation. So if you'd like me to talk about it, let me know, and I will. So I look at it and go, Jodie, it's been incredible to take this journey with you. I have to say that. To me, it's been like, I cannot believe 2 years passed so quickly, and now here we are, and you are there. All right, so Jeannie, it's okay to talk about it. Jeannie is saying that even York, her husband, is upsetting her. Well, hello, Jeannie. I would think your tolerance level is probably about this big at the moment. All right, and I think that in a way you're beating up on yourself. I would not be at all surprised that your tolerance level is a bit low. You've been through an incredible amount of stress. You've been through ups and downs like a roller coaster. You've been through major surgery. You've been through, think about these things. Could you give yourself a break, please? All right? Give yourself a break. Apologize. Hi, Farmer. Good to see you. Please apologize to York if you've been a bit testy. I'm certain his probably tolerance level is also low. So between the two of you, and I would think as you get into this phase of getting everything back home and opening up the home again, it's going to be pretty difficult. And I would think, Jeannie, that for him, going back to the home is probably going to be more stressful than for you. All right, just in terms of the history of everything that happened. So take a deep breath and go, what does he need to hear and what do you need to hear? I would think, I don't know, but you might want to ask him that. Does he want to hear that you still love him? Which I'm sure you tell him regularly. Does he need to hear that you'll be fine? That you're going to pace yourself and not overdo it? Does he need to hear that, hang on, we don't need to get this all done in a week. We've got the rest of our life to unpack. What is it that he needs to hear? And then think about the things that he is upsetting you with. And go, remember, it's your interpretation of what he's saying. So if you can give me an example, I might be able to help you. Well, Farmer, I think I am correct in saying you having the vaccination does not protect anybody but yourself, right? The people you're protecting is you. all right, because it doesn't stop you getting the virus. It stops you ending up in the morgue. It doesn't stop you being able to spread it. The vaccine merely protects the level of effect it will have on you. So I'm delighted to hear you and Tracy have both had your vaccines. Yeah, I've had both mine now as well. Okay, so Jeannie, does it make you happy when you argue? What sort of things are you arguing on, honey? No, I control the time of my broadcast. So, Jeannie, this is important to you this week particularly. So I'm going to hang on here if you don't mind. I'm not going for Chinese, so don't worry. You're not holding me up from something. Jeannie, think about this. Right? What sort of things are upsetting you? You find yourselves arguing. Can you give me a for instance without it being too personal? The reason I'm saying that is because if I got an example, maybe I can help you, and that in turn will help you on other issues as well. What if you decide, about how to unpack the house? Okay, so, okay. Did you ever read Men Are From Mars and Women from Venus? So here's the thing. Do you have a particular way that you think it should be unpacked? That is the question. Do you have a particular way that you want to see that house unpacked? He wanted to take everything from the hotel first. I thought that would be dreadful because it would all be a mess in my kitchen. Yes, I have a method. Yes. Okay. So this is about your way is the right way. Right? I mean, don't get upset with me, Jeannie. Just bear with me for a second. And you have reasons for thinking your way is the right way. So I have to tell you that when I moved into this house originally, if you remember, the first things I brought into the house when I first bought it were the kitchen things. That was the most important to me. I want that kitchen set up. I want the stuff from my kitchen in first. Okay, so that's the conversation. Jeannie's saying, yes, it would be less stress for me. So that's the conversation. Don't argue about it and go, York, if you know I'm going to end up doing most of the unpacking, right? If that is true. You go, York, if you would like to help me do it in the least stressful for me, then I can give you a list in the order in which I'd like to do things. However, if you want to do the garage and I don't know what you've got in your house, but if you want to do the garage and the garden area and in a different time, that's up to you, right? You go right ahead. Me, I need to do the kitchen myself in this order. Don't mind having help, but I need it done in this order. And maybe the master bedroom is another one you're fussy about. Give him, this is important to me. Not the whole thing. The kitchen is important to me. The master bedroom is important to me. What you do with the rest of it, go at it. All right, but you understand what I'm saying, Jeannie? And the other question is this. Are you going to have two people controlling the unpacking, or is one person in charge of it and the other one helping? Because it sounds to me like the roles haven't quite been identified yet. I remember advising a guy that I knew who was about to move. I said the best way you can move without starting World War III is to stop thinking that you know the right way to pack up and unpack the house. If you can go into a mode of what can I do to help you here, and not worry about the fact that you think it should be done a totally different way. And I'm suggesting maybe York might want to play that role. Yes, and that's honest, Jeannie, and I understand it. Jeannie's saying, yes, I get it. I want to be in charge. I know I can get the guest bathroom set up if I am listened to. So most men, from my experience, Jeannie, most men want to make you happy. All right? So if you say no, I just want to tell you, York, if you want me to stay calm and not get too overwhelmed, I'd really appreciate it if you could come to me and say, what can I do next for you? And listen to what it is. Now, don't try and get ahead of the game, because it may be as simple, could you put these pots and pans into that drawer over there? You know, and I know you probably want to do that yourself, but you understand what I'm saying. All right, so don't worry about the fact that the box spring won't be there until tomorrow. If you remember, I didn't even have a box spring for a week, right? I slept on the futon again. So the whole thing is about, let's do it as a team. Now, what did York do before he retired? Can I ask you that? What sort of job did he do? Because that may help me help you. And I would also have some sort of list somewhere on a fridge or something where you're going, day one, what I want to accomplish is this, get the kitchen set up. Right? That's my number one goal. Day two, that I would say kitchen, and that we're able to sleep in our bedroom. That's that. Anything else can wait. And then day two, I would like to get this done and this done. And warn York that list can change every day, because as you get certain things set up, other things become more important. He was the general manager of a company for 20 years. Okay, so he knows all about time management. He knows all about direction. He knows all about planning. He knows all about all those things. Right? And he's used to managing things, Jeannie. And I would do, this is just my personal suggestion to you, I would do everything I can to give him an area that he is responsible for. All right? I really have to say that. For his self-esteem, for his ability to know if he can't help you anyway, he knows he can go back and start unpacking the garden stuff or something. Do you understand what I'm saying? He's not your slave. He is your husband. And he has needs as well as yours. What area of the house is most important to him? Do you know that? And we know that the kitchen obviously is for you, but what is his most important room? And I would find that out and say, because you don't want to be on top of each other the whole time either. So I would say, maybe you spend 1 hour working on the kitchen, and then he gets to go play gets to rest first, and then he gets an hour to go and do what he wants to go and do. In other words, the man cave. What fun is that for a man? You see, if ever he's getting under your toes, I would just go, hey, York, you got an hour to go play in the man cave and get it set up. I'll meet you back at 6 o'clock. And we'll do the next thing in the kitchen. Yes, and Jodi's understanding where I'm coming from on this. She said, if you're both managing specific areas of the house, you can each unpack in your own way and feel a sense of accomplishment. Thank you, Jodi. And also of management, and also that what I think is important as well as what you think. So, Jeannie, I want to give you 10 out of 10 for getting brave enough to actually bring that up, because that's not easy to talk about. He has the TV there, and he needs to get his easy chair down there. Yeah, there's certain priorities for a guy that, that are really important. And let him do that. Let him organize that. Now, Jeannie, before we go, I'm going to tell you the same thing that I'm going to tell Jody. Any feelings of frustration, anger, disappointment, your feelings are yours. Remember that, Jeannie? They're not his. He didn't create your feelings. So if you're getting snippy with him, first thing is that it's happening, and then you need to take a deep breath and get your sense of humor back and go, York, I know that I have been more than a tad snippy in the last hour, and I'd like to apologize. I'm going to go and take a little walk in the garden and see what flowers survived, and I'll be back in 10 minutes. I need to regroup. Makes sense, Jeannie. Don't blame York for your lack of control. And if you need him out of your way, give him a job to do. Men like things to do, especially if it's not near somebody who's being a bit testy. You can do this. Jody, perfectly normal for you to have whatever feelings you have tomorrow. But I do want you to know from the very soul that we are with you, and that whatever feelings you have, we will totally understand. And that I will do everything. You see, I can't even do it. I will do everything I can not to make you laugh. It's so difficult because even talking about it makes me laugh. And I'm pretty sure that even my trying to tell you that I'm not going to make you laugh is probably making you laugh. So maybe I should just give up, right? I'll just be me, get over it. It's good for the muscles. So a big hug. Please give Lionel a big hug from me and thank him for all he's going to do. Hugging a pillow helps. Actually, just holding your stomach will help. But I did the same thing. I had 17 stitches down my stomach, and I went on a roller coaster. So, hello. You're looking at somebody who isn't smart. So here we go, guys. We're all going to have stress this week. Jody is a little bit more. I want to tell you, Jeannie is just a tad more, but none of us know what stress we're going to have. I assure you that yesterday when Yvonne left her home to come and have lunch with me and see the house, she didn't know she was going to have all that stress. So it's life. It happens. We don't know the corners that we're going to turn. This is Dear Mama Sal saying thank you so much for being here with me. Thank you for being here to support Jody. Thank you for being here to support Jeannie. Thank you for being here and learning. Because by helping one another, we all learn, don't we? This is Dear Mama Sal saying, have the best week you possibly can. I love you dearly. Remember, keep helping one another, but most of all, make sure you help yourself. Bye-bye for now.